Okay, I think there's a couple of things. With the creative series, I'll tell you a really short story, and it's kind of it in a nutshell. I had started writing, and at the time I was teaching AP Art and Theater at a high school. And it was about 10:30 at night one night, and I was grading AP Art portfolios, and I had easels everywhere. And I looked at one of the pieces of art on the easel, and I just realized I was crying. This girl was such an incredible artist, and I wanted in my heart to think that once she left my studio, she would be protected, because it's not easy being a creative person in the real world. It can be a very cruel place. And I had been writing the story, and I realized at that moment what the whole theme of it was. I wanted to create a group of people who would protect art and artists throughout time because of the messages that can be brought through art to help humanity. And that was what I did. That was the turning point of pulling the theme of the novels together. So that was pretty much a big deal for me that night. I came home, and my husband said to me, "Well, what happened?" And I said, I just had this experience, and my contract was coming up for teaching at that time, and he just said, "You know what, you need to take time off, write, finish your books, we'll cope, we'll manage." And so he gave me a great gift of time. And like I always say to my students, time is our most valuable asset. So cherish it. The reason I chose to enter the world of, I guess, the supernatural for this story. Okay, so here's the answer. I research a lot in newspapers looking for stories that have no real answer to them. Stories that may have been hidden for no apparent reason, apart from the obvious. And so I thought, I can't really write about these and do any better than the news articles are doing. So what I chose to do was bring them into the supernatural world. I mean, this book here, my book 2, The Devil and the Muse, was based around a story I found in I think it was the New York Times, and I do quote that story in the back of The Immortal Muse in all the notes. It was a story about young Latino women going missing in D.C. And it went on, and it wasn't until it really started to get a roll on press that people started being aware of it. And I wondered to myself, if that had been Beverly Hills and a white girl, we would have been, the country would be up in arms. So I'm passionate about social justice. So I did write the story, used elements of that newspaper article to be the basis of the theme for that book. But I added the group that I mentioned earlier about protecting art and artists. I've named the Allegiance, and they are a mix of human and supernatural beings. So in book 3, The Immortal Muse, I took a story from the Washington Post, I think it was, and it was a story about a woman of about, I think she was 25 in Florida, and she was speaking out because at, I think it was 11, she was raped and forced to be married and have children. And it's not the first time that I've read stories about this, and I use that once again as a basis for this, but having the allegiance and the supernatural world allowed me to really make it very raw. And I think that helps. I have to write with a message in it, and it helps.